Digital dopamine, the hidden cost of your scrolling addiction. Welcome, everyone. I'm truly honored to be here today. I want to start by acknowledging the brilliant mind behind many of the insights I'll share today. Phoebe Israel, a revolutionary digital wellness advocate whose work has transformed how thousands of people relate to technology. Phoebe has courageously challenged the tech industry's most powerful players, testifying before Congress about algorithmic manipulation and leading groundbreaking research on digital wellness for marginalized communities. Her Reclaim Your Brain initiative has helped over 10,000 professionals break free from destructive digital habits while still leveraging technology for success. It's not just talking about these issues. She's in the trenches helping real people reclaim their authentic selves from the grip of endless scrolling. Now, I have a question for you. How many of you have ever said, I deserve a little break, and then picked up your phone to scroll through Instagram or TikTok? Go ahead, raise your hands, look around. That's almost everyone in this room. We've been conditioned to treat social media scrolling as a reward, a little dopamine hit after completing a task, a moment of self care when we're feeling overwhelmed or tired. But here's the counterintuitive truth that Phoebe's research has revealed. What we think is a harmless reward is actually robbing us of something far more valuable, our sense of self. And it's keeping us stuck in a state of analysis paralysis that prevents us from making decisions aligned with our true purpose. Instead of recharging, we end up more anxious, less certain about who we are, more confused about what decisions to make. Social media isn't just filling our downtime, it's quietly reshaping our identity and decision making in ways most of us don't even realize. Let that sink in for a moment. The very thing we turn to for relief is actually creating more distress. During my conversations with Phoebe, she highlighted three key insights that completely transformed my understanding of this issue. First, screen time is not always self care. Just because you're taking a break on social media doesn't mean you're nourishing yourself. In fact, overconsumption can drain your mental energy, blur your sense of purpose, and leave you feeling more lost than before. As Phoebe puts it, true self care fills your cup. Mindless scrolling pokes holes in it. Second, analysis paralysis is real, and it's fueled by endless scrolling. The constant flood of information makes it harder to trust your own voice or move forward with decisions in business and life. And third, identity loss happens silently. When we constantly compare ourselves to curated images online, we risk losing touch with our authentic selves. This makes it particularly challenging for Black professionals and entrepreneurs to carve out their unique path when the digital noise becomes overwhelming. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking, it's just social media, it's not that serious. But the research and real world examples tell a different story. Let me share something powerful with you. In 2024, the Pew Research Center conducted a study on young Black entrepreneurs using Instagram for networking and inspiration. On the surface, this sounds positive, right? Using social media to build connections and find motivation for your business. But here's what they discovered. Many of these entrepreneurs reported increased anxiety, stress from comparison culture, poor sleep quality due to late night scrolling, and significant difficulty making business decisions. I want you to meet Jasmine, one of the participants in that study. At 28, she had a brilliant concept for a sustainable fashion brand centered around African textiles. But every time she sat down to finalize her business plan, she found herself opening Instagram just to check what others were doing. I'd see someone who seemed to be 10 steps ahead of me, Jasmine shared, and suddenly my idea felt inadequate. I'd see conflicting advice about pricing strategies or marketing approaches, and I'd close my laptop, overwhelmed and uncertain. I was stuck in this cycle for almost 2 years. 2 years of her life, 2 years of a brilliant idea waiting to be born into the world, 2 years of purpose delayed. What changed for Jasmine? She implemented strict app time limits. She curated her feed to include only content that genuinely inspired rather than intimidated her. And most importantly, she scheduled daily offline periods where she disconnected completely. The first week was like withdrawal, she admitted. But by week 3, I felt like I could hear my own thoughts again. I remembered why I started this journey in the first place. 6 months later, Jasmine launched her business. Not only that, she won a local pitch competition, securing funding that allowed her to hire 2 employees. When asked what made the difference, her answer was simple: I reconnected with my own vision instead of chasing someone else's highlight reel. This isn't an isolated incident. This is happening in our schools, on our college campuses, in our workplaces. At an HBCU in 2023, student leaders noticed something troubling. Their peers were struggling with productivity, especially during exam season. The culprit: excessive TikTok use. These bright, ambitious students reported shorter attention spans after hours spent watching short form videos. They struggled to focus on assignments, and perhaps most concerning, they had trouble committing fully to campus initiatives they genuinely cared about. Marcus, a junior studying business administration, described it this way: I'd sit down to study for an exam, and my brain would crave that quick hit of entertainment. I couldn't focus for more than 15 minutes without reaching for my phone. And the worst part? I was on the planning committee for a community service project I was passionate about, but I kept putting off my responsibilities because I couldn't concentrate long enough to complete them. The student government, recognizing this crisis, piloted something called Focus Fridays, where students collectively put their phones away during study sessions. Faculty supported this initiative by offering digital detox workshops that emphasized mindful tech habits rooted in cultural storytelling traditions. The outcomes were remarkable. Grades improved among participants. Campus organizations saw higher engagement rates as students regained clarity around their personal goals versus viral trends. Marcus was one of the success stories. After just a month of intentional disconnection, I raised my GPA from a 2.7 to a 3.4. But more importantly, I rediscovered my purpose on campus. I remembered why I came to an HBCU in the first place: to be part of something bigger than myself, to contribute to my community. He went on to write an essay about this journey that earned him a prestigious scholarship. In his words, I realized I was trading my future for fleeting entertainment. That's a bargain no one can afford to make. This phenomenon isn't limited to students, it's affecting our workplaces too. Blavity Inc., a leading digital platform for Black millennials, recognized rising burnout among its editorial staff. This burnout was tied directly to constant monitoring and comparison via Twitter timelines while curating news feeds for their audience. Editors felt pressure not just from deadlines, but also from hyper visible influencer culture. This led some staffers into creative blocks and a decreased job satisfaction. One editor described it as creative paralysis. She said, I'd sit down to write a story I was passionate about, but then I'd check Twitter to see what was trending. Suddenly, my story didn't seem relevant enough, provocative enough, or polished enough. I'd second guess every word until I couldn't write anything at all. In response, Blavity's leadership introduced mandatory screen breaks. They encouraged team members to mute competitive accounts, and they invested in mindfulness coaching tailored specifically toward cultural pressures faced by young Black creatives online. The results: staff retention rose, editorial output increased, And several employees credited these changes with helping them rediscover joy and purpose in storytelling. As Blavity grew into an industry leader, the temptation was always there to chase every trend. But management realized that innovation comes best when creators feel grounded rather than overwhelmed. Their editorial teams went on to launch award winning series focused on authentic and lived experiences, not just clickbait headlines. They set an example across digital publishing spaces regarding sustainable tech use and culturally competent wellness practices. These stories reveal something profound about our relationship with social media. What we think is connecting us might actually be disconnecting us from ourselves. What we think is informing us might actually be confusing us. What we think is inspiring us might actually be paralyzing us. But there's hope. As Phoebe Israel emphasizes, awareness is the first step toward change. When we recognize that scrolling isn't actually self care, we can make different choices about how we rest and recharge. When we understand that information overload leads to decision paralysis, we can be more intentional about our consumption habits. And when we acknowledge that constant comparison erodes our sense of self, we can take steps to reconnect with our authentic identity. This is especially crucial for Black professionals and entrepreneurs. In a world that already presents systemic challenges to our advancement and success, we cannot afford to surrender our clarity, confidence, and decision making power to algorithms designed to keep us scrolling. As the prophet Isaiah reminds us, those who wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. But we cannot wait upon the Lord while simultaneously waiting for the next notification. I challenge you today, before you pick up your phone tonight, just for 5 minutes, ask yourself, are you feeding your mind or numbing your spirit? Set one small boundary around screen time that honors who God called you uniquely to be, not who someone else appears to be online. Maybe that means no phones for the first hour after you wake up. Maybe it means deleting one social media app that consistently leaves you feeling inadequate. Maybe it means scheduling specific times to check social media rather than reaching for it whenever you have a free moment. Whatever boundary you choose, make it specific, make it realistic, and make it aligned with your true purpose. Remember the words of Proverbs 4:23. Above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. In today's digital age, guarding your heart means guarding your attention, your identity, and your decision making power. Your worth isn't measured in likes. Your purpose isn't found in feeds. Your decisions don't need validation from strangers on the internet. The world needs your authentic voice, not your algorithm approved version. It needs your bold decisions, not your paralyzed potential. It needs the real you, not the one curated for public consumption. So tonight, put down your phone, reclaim your identity. Make that decision you've been postponing. And remember, the most revolutionary act in a digital age is to be fully, unapologetically present in your own life. Thank you.